Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans and one chaos coordinator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves to the listeners and viewers at home, starting with Mr. Al Hagen.
Hey, Al Hagen. What do you need to know? Marine Corps, intelligence community. I write science fiction.
I mean, long walks on the beach, romantic dinners. I don't know, whatever you want to tell us about yourself.
Oh man, post-apocalyptic Armageddon, shooting people. Let's go, badass women, that sort of thing.
That's your life, or that's your life. Or
That's what I'm prepping for. No, really. I've got 74 acres out in the woods in Texas. I just commented there were 11 deer out in the front yard. Got food, got stock ponds, got guns, got ammo. Y'all may starve. I'm not going to.
Yeah, there's a AM talk show guy who jokes that he does lawyer advice. He's an independent libertarian, I think. But they make fun of him for being a prepper, and he says he preps for the alphabet, everything from A to Z, Al Qaeda to zombies, because you just never know.
Yeah,
I kind of like that approach. All right, next we have Mr. Dan Kemp.
Oh boy. Well, Maryland, Ole Miss to the Army, bunch of years in the Army, then grad school at Norwich, and then my lifelong reading habit turned into a writing habit. And then one morning on a rifle range, I met that individual right there who was willing to take a flyer on a first novel, and that's turned into 3 of them, with more to come.
Now, when you were at Norwich, were you there for the Corps Cadets or just a regular student?
I was online correspondent grad school. I have spent a grand total of 1 week in Northfield, Vermont. But in my day job, I run into large numbers of lieutenants who went to Norwich, and they generally treat me as one of their own, which is nice of them.
Okay. Next, we have Mr. J.F. Holmes.
Good evening, everybody. I am not John Holmes. I am J.F. Holmes. Well, I am John Holmes, but not that John.
Not
Holmes.
that one.
Yes. So I am the leader of this merry band of pirates that is Canon Publishing, head of the gun crew, and I write. I used to write before working for the government destroyed my brain cells. I write science fiction, fantasy, military science fiction, military thrillers, post-apocalyptic, whatever pops into my head, and I sit down and tell the tale. So I started Canon Publishing about 2-3 years ago, and we've been collecting people ever since, and we're doing okay. So thank you for having us on the show.
Absolutely. I want you to know that I wrote a short story for an anthology I was asked to write for, and I actually wrote it where the main characters were artillery, so they were cannon cockers too. And so in honor of you, John, I want you to know I actually wrote them as straight. I didn't write true to form.
Well, you write whatever's entertaining, all right?
All right, next we have Mr. Jonathan LaForce. All right. I do not read lips, sir, and you are muted.
Or mustache.
Or mustache. But it is a glorious mustache.
It looks like he's in this closet too. Come out of the closet, John.
Oh!
Nope.
All right, while we wait for him to figure it out, next we have the other JR, Mr. J.R. Wise.
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, Jonathan, you're back. All right. Can you introduce yourself?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
I feel like it's a bad Sprint commercial.
Sorry, is that working better now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Cool. Sorry, having technical difficulties with the computer. It's been a bit of a day. My name's John LaForce. Started out in LA County, getting into trouble where I could. Moved to Texas for 2 years. Found out I liked it a lot, but that was the end of that time there. Bounced around with the Marine Corps. Ended up out in Hawaii. Ended up in northern Utah, southern Utah, and now back to Texas. One when I'm not busy burning brain cells for the government, because I work for them as well, in a civilian capacity, watching people try and gloriously fail at taking the ASVAB test. I write tactical romance because why not have some fun while you're shooting somebody? Because they deserve it.
All righty. And next, for real this time, we got Mr. J.R. Wise, the other J.R.
Yes, as I've said on this podcast before, I'm the lesser JR, though J.R. Handley and I are both the lesser JR compared to Tolkien.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm a former Marine, former Army National Guardsman. Grass wasn't greener on the other side. And I mostly write patient documentation for firefighters who've done something stupid and hurt themselves. But when I have time, I write military sci-fi. That was apparently passable enough that JF decided to let me into his little crew, even though he had to teach me to actually read first. But I was a Marine, man. I ate crayons. It's fine. And if you want someone to take a long walk with you on the beach, Virginia Beach, like you were talking to Al, JR, I got you. I'm not that.
All right, outstanding. So the other cool thing is he's being humble. He makes funny TikTok videos and cosplay stuff, which is kind of cool. And true story, he married an alien from work.
I did. God knows I'm a normal human.
All right, next we have Mr. Scott Huggins.
Hi, I came from, high school to Kansas State to Michigan State, and for my sins back to high school where I teach history to many students, some of whom learned something. So I write science fiction and fantasy, and for canon I write guns and sorcery, military fantasy, the historical version, because I'm the weirdo who never was in the military in this group.
We let him in on affirmative action for civilians.
Yay.
That's okay.
So Scott, do you publish as Scott Huggins or G. Scott Huggins? Because that'll matter for people looking it up later.
I go. My pseudonym is G. Scott Huggins, so you'll find me there on Amazon. I thought it sounded as cool as F. Scott Fitzgerald, and then I found out I was wrong, but it was too late to change it.
I mean, that's as good a reason to pick your publishing name as any. All right. So the next part of this introduction, dear listener, is the religion questions. And since they are all everyone except for JR, we tailored it though towards the theme of the night. So Battle Los Angeles, Battleship, or Starship Troopers. Al.
Starship Troopers.
Okay.
Book or movie?
Your dealer's choice. We don't judge. All right, Dan.
If we're sticking to the movies, I got to go with Battleship. There is a frustrated Iowa class commander that still lives inside of me, even though I ended up going Army.
That's a valid answer. All right, JF. There we go. I can speak, I promise.
Got to go with Battlefield Los Angeles because the day is won by firing a Copperhead round, which is a 155 laser designated artillery shell with a anti-tank round on top of it. And that's what wins the day. So got to go with Battlefield Los Angeles.
This is as good a reason as any. Jonathan.
I'm going to go with Battleship because, one, it's got the soundtrack to beat all. And as an artilleryman, I love the sight of 16-inch guns tearing up something unholy in Xenos and sending it back to whatever rotten hell it came from.
Praise the Emperor.
All right.
JR.
I'm going to go with Starship Troopers, preferably the book, but I'll also take the movie, but for very different reasons.
Okay. And finally, Scott.
Can I set them all on fire?
Yeah,
Anyway, I think they're all heresy, but if I have to pick one, I'll go with Battleship for much of the reasons that these two already said, because it's just awesome. Because battleships are cool. Let's just go with battleships are freaking cool. Okay, that's really all.
All right, and because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, The Great Wall, Warcraft, or Immortals. So some fantasy military fiction. Al.
Fantasy. Oh, that's a tough one. Run around the room a minute. Let me think about that one.
All right, Dan.
I'm going to go with Great Wall because it's the only one of the three I've seen.
Good reason as any. All right.
At least I'm honest.
JF Holmes.
I'm going to have to go with the film adaptation of Fae Wars, sir, for $5 million.
Is that out yet?
Well, Netflix is waiting on me to call them back, but I'm kind of trying to make them hang, So.
Okay.
No,
I
would
think it's
actually.
pretty big.
I would say World of Warcraft because that's probably the only one I've actually seen. So.
All right, Jonathan.
We're talking Immortals, the 2011 movie, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. That one. I own it. I've watched it probably 36 times. And I've used the scene when he rallies the broken troops as an illustrative lesson to my eldest son at least twice. Love that speech. Can almost recite it from heart.
Nice. All right, J.R. Wise.
I'm going to go with the Great Wall because it's the only one I've seen.
Good reason. Scott.
Well, also because it's the only one I've seen, I'm going to go with Warcraft because I kind of got to have a soft spot for writers who were handed that kind of a shit sandwich and actually tried to do something halfway competent. I mean, you could argue they failed, but, I mean, in the same sense that Luxembourg failed to repel the Nazis. So, give them credit for trying it against hopeless odds.
So A for effort. Outstanding. All right, back to you, Al.
Yeah, I've got to agree with him on Warcraft. I got to go with Great Wall. Yeah, I'll agree with Jonathan on that.
Okay, I liked all of them. Although I loved Warcraft. There was something about seeing that in the theater. I have never played the game, so I had no allegiance to any of the lore. So I took it at face value, and it was a fun little fantasy flick. I almost put the 13th Warrior in there, but I didn't think that would be a fair comparison for any other fantasy military movie.
It wouldn't.
So, but it is a good one. In fact, we're going to have to do a review of that one coming up soon for our retro movie review. All right, favorite sci-fi weapon, Al.
That would, given the problems that it had, but it would have to be the Star Wars lightsabers, just because I'm a blade guy, any kind of cutting implement.
Okay. Next, but certainly not least, we have Dan.
Favorite sci-fi weapon. The wave motion gun on the battleship Yamato.
I'm not familiar with that one, but I will take it. All right.
You never saw Star Blazers
I have not.
or Space Battleship Yamato.
I have seen the commercials, but I have not partaken.
There is if you look at that spaceship converted World War II battleship, there is an enormous gaping hole at the front of the ship that is where they can hook up and vomit the contents of the reactor outward as an offensive weapon.
Okay.
Basically, fuck you and everybody around you.
That is an excellent weapon to have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and next we have the one, the only Mr. J.F. Holmes.
I would say the original Death Star planet killer. Or no. I'm sorry. Let me back up. The planet killer from Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, that was when I was a kid watching that. I was like, "Holy crap! It could blow up a planet. It could blow up this planet," and I just impressed the hell out of me. So,
Okay, Jonathan.
100% anti-proton.
Jonathan.
The M41 pulse rifle from Aliens, but not for the reason you think. See, I was at a really, really lousy low point in life when Larry Correa reached out to me on Facebook and told me that he was getting ready to write the Aliens short story anthology. He said, I need somebody to use as a name for the inventor and maker of the M41 pulse rifle. Can I use your name? And if you go on AVP fandom right now, you will see my name, Corporal Jonathan LaForce. He used my Marine Corps rank and made me the inventor of the M41.
That is awesome.
Okay.
So I've got a special soft spot for that, because otherwise I'd say an Executor class Star Destroyer, because it is a weapon system and it levels everything.
Like Planet Killer would beat you, but that's okay.
JR.
So I got two answers. One based off the fact that I'm completely obsessed with Helldivers right now, and I've been known for accidentally killing my teammates with a 500 kilogram bomb stratagem. So that one, or any version of the Bolter from Warhammer 40k. I just wish I was in the Astartes and could actually wield one without dying.
Minor details.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
Okay, I'm going to go with the most obscure planet killer. I'm going to be fascinated to see if anybody else even remembers this one. The Stellar Converter from Battle Beyond the Stars. Not only will we destroy your planet, we will turn it into a star.
That is a deep, deep cut, my friend.
I don't think I've even heard of that property, but I mean, it's got a cool name.
Oh, dude, it's old school. It was the studio that did Voltron before they did Voltron.
Okay. That is a good studio, apparently. All right, and finally, your favorite fantasy weapon. You got a lot of options there, but we're going to go with you, Al.
Again, being a blade guy, any of those fantasy swords, with the weird shapes and all, there's just too many to mention. But, if it's razor sharp, yeah, the big giant swords, all that sort of thing. There's no picking one. I mean, it's like, just give me all of them.
Okay, you're going to be that guy who carries like a bazillion pounds worth of swords, but it doesn't matter because game effects mechanics don't care.
Yeah, like Mythbusters actually did that one time. They got this big buff guy and had him carry about 8 or 10 weapons, and he ran through this obstacle course, just no problem.
Okay, Dan, what about you?
From the Scott Huggins novel, A Cold and Mortal Spring, I want one of the greater rifles. They talk to you. They provide 360-degree security. They help correct your aim. Low maintenance cost. I mean, they probably cost a fortune to make, but they're very, very nice, and I really want one.
Shameless plugging too, and we'll allow it. All right, J.F. Holmes.
I play a lot of Skyrim, and my favorite weapon in there is what's it called, Dawnbringer. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's a sword that you pick up from the temple, and it's just kind of what my favorite is. Or from Fey Wars. No, I'm good. I can't pitch everything all the time. Sorry.
All right. So, do you side with the Nords or the Imperials?
Nords usually. So
I do too, but the Imperials do make good roads.
They do. I'm a big fan of the Romans in a lot of ways.
Yeah. What about you, John?
Others, not so much.
My introduction to real fantasy was Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, and I will always go for the sword that Aragorn wielded at the end of it all, because it was broken, got brought back, and hey, let's go kill things because they deserve it. Good enough for me.
Andrew, Flame of the West.
In the South, we have an expression, they just needed killing.
Yep.
That comes to mind.
Yeah. I've seen that more than once played out here in the South. Could be used to describe drivers on the 75 that I commute up and down daily here in Dallas.
Okay. All right. What about you, JR?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a fantasy person. I've DNF'd every fantasy book I've ever tried to read. But if there is a fantasy weapon out there that can make your wife agree with you and/or admit,
Oh, you fool! You fool!
Sir, we do try to ground our fiction in reality.
How many lanes do you want your bridge to Hawaii?
We're talking about the power of an archmagus, not the infinite power of Christ.
All right. What about you, Scott?
Well, I'm kind of amazed nobody's come up with this one so far, but how about your average dragon?
As a weapon?
I mean, a dragon is pretty much a living weapon system. It's the fantasy equivalent of the A10 Warthog, and it's got a flamethrower. So yeah, I'm going with dragons.
Good call.
Okay.
The last time I was on Blasters and Blades, we were talking about that dragon anthology we did. So
It was a fun one.
good call.
All right, and because we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, we are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. Coffee or tea, and how do you take it this fresh September day, Mr. Al?
Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon.
Okay.
Coffee is a little bit of cinnamon, and tea black. Black is a witch's heart.
Okay, Dan.
Tea, Chinese green.
Okay. Holmes.
Tea. Coffee
Man.
from barbarians.
All right, Jonathan.
Peach herbal tea, and make sure to microwave the water like a proper British man would.
All right,
Don't let
JR.
David say that.
tea, specifically chai, hot, kind of like they had it in Afghanistan.
All right,
Until
Scott.
spiked hot chocolate.
There's two ways to have coffee. In the morning, it's hot with milk. In the afternoon, it's iced, cream, brown sugar, and bourbon.
Oh yeah.
Liberal on the bourbon, or do you measure it out?
Whatever I feel like.
You measure with love. That's what they call it. Measure with love. All right. So we brought you all here to talk about Canon Publishing. So first, John, I know you have to bow out soon, but I wanted you here for this episode about your publishing company on account of you started it. But how did it come about? How did Canon Publishing become a thing?
It's a tax dodge. Absolutely 100% tax dodge.
Now the IRS is listening and you're screwed.
Whatever. They know all about me because they take my money every month. So as a fairly mid-level indie writer, I wanted to kind of keep my business separate from my life. And so I formed an LLC, called it Canon Publishing. And then I started meeting people who were like, hey, how do we get into writing? And I said, you know what, I might as well just take this company into and actually something to do. And I put a series, started writing with Lucas and other people, apparently I Shanghai them or assault them or grab them or something like that and drag them into the company. And it's just really taken off over the last couple of years because I've met some really good guys and girls, and we are a pretty tight team, and we put out some pretty good products. So a lot of it fulfills for me. I'm a retired platoon sergeant, and I kind of really like training and helping people learn the business. And, these guys are all my corporals and sergeants that I'm bringing up to be eventually colonels and generals. Right, guys? You're going to make that big 06 pay, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, so it's just something that I enjoy doing most of the time. Sometimes very frustrating, but then again, so is being a platoon sergeant. So it's just kind of living out my earlier life in a different form.
Okay. And how did you bring on the people you chose to work with? Like, what do you look for when you're trying to figure out like your tribe?
Well, I used to look for just about anybody who would write for me, and then now I learned that not. I used to just grab people, hey, send me a book. And I learned very hard way that you have to be very straight up with people and tell them, this isn't going to fit what we're doing. And a lot of it is just word of mouth. Now people come to us. I met Dan on the rifle range. Scott came up to me last year, 2 years ago at LibertyCon. John, I grabbed, or JR, I grabbed off the internet. Basically, because I saw his book and it looked good, right? It was on OnlyFans, but and then
see the other content on that.
Yeah, LaForce. I met him. We've known each other for back and forth for a while, and Al, I have no idea where you came from. I think you just sent me a book, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just I saw Canon Publishing and said, "Hey, it's send manuscript in. I've got this 5-book series right here. Let me start sending stuff in."
Yeah, if I'd have known at the time that he didn't speak English, I probably would have backed out. But no, and now we have gotten big enough that we've got a pretty good reputation as a straight shooting bunch of guys, and I'm very fair in dealing with people. And people come to us now, so it's kind of cool.
Okay. Now, do you publish exclusively military fiction, martial fiction?
Oh no. We are. Dan's got a thriller series, which is quasi-military, right? But it's set in modern times. We have Fey Wars is kind of military / fantasy. We do fantasy, straight up fantasy books. We're trying to break into that market. Maybe eventually we'll do romance if we want to make some money, because hey, LaForce's book did pretty well. And we have a number of writers who aren't military. I mean, Scott's never served. Charlie Cox. She's never served, but military adjacent, and we're trying to break out of it. You can't be a one-trick pony. You got to, cover all the bases in order to be a successful publishing company. So,
okay. Now, do you tend to do Amazon exclusive, or do you publish your books wide?
Some books are going wide generally with our fantasy books because they sell more paperbacks and not as well with Kindle Unlimited. So we're trying to deal with Ingram right now and get our books out there. Some of them are on draft to digital, but for the most part, yeah, we're Amazon pretty straight up. It's the easiest way to do things. So thankfully, I have Haley Greger, who works with me as our production person, and she's cracking that Ingram case as we speak, probably. So.
And do you guys do mostly ebook and print, or do you guys go into audiobook as well?
Oh, we've got 18 audiobooks out. I've got 8 in production right now. So we're trying to push the audio as much as we can, because it's actually getting to be a bigger and bigger portion of the market. So.
Okay. We're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly show for the man. And when we come back, we'll start talking about some of these individual properties that Canon Publishing is putting out there. So with that, we're going to air that beautiful Bane footage.
They were called the Human Marine Corps, but their cause was never humanity's, until the sleeper awoke. A century ago, all but 2 members of Lance Scipio's unit were executed for bringing dishonor to his regiment. Now he wakes into a strange new time and is tasked with whipping into shape the worst squad of misfits in the entire Human Marine Corps. The price of failure? Death. This completed series is set in the worlds of the hit Human Legion series by Tim C. Taylor, now released with a special novelette titled No Marine Left Behind, Freedom Can Be Won. So dive into this debut novel by author J.R. Handley as he takes you on an action-filled sequence of military science fiction glory.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. And with that, so if you want to introduce, John, the various series and then who's writing what, so we can get a little bit of a rundown of what we can expect.
Yeah, sure. So tonight we were focusing on people who are doing things not necessarily in our mainline Fey Wars series. Some Fallen Empire stuff that J.R. Weiss is doing. But each of the other guys have their own individual series of books. Hopefully, it'll be a series. Mr. LaForce. Series means more than one. Dan publishes Athenaeum, which is a post-Cold War, post-global war on terrorism spy outfit that sometimes does more than spy stuff. Bang, bang, pokey things, right? Al Hagen does a post-apocalyptic rebuilding of Texas with some strong men and hot women, shall we say. Heroes who rise to the occasion, and a bit bloodthirsty sometimes with the old cheese grater. But I'll let Al talk about that. All right. J.R. Weiss just released a book in our Fallen Empire series, which is just a big universe for people to play in, and hopefully he's working on book 2 for Doom Company right now. It's been pretty well received. He also has his own stuff that he's working on, which you can feel free to plug tonight, JR. I'm not going to, John, I'm not going to really, that's cool. I want success for everybody. Mr. LaForce has his tactical romance, Hell's Bells, which is a mix of American Marines and a bunch of British female engineers. And hopefully you're going to be dropping the next book in that series pretty soon. And then Scott is writing something called the Wish Killer series, which is a humongous universe with excellent world building set in a 1600s type society with magical guns that Dan really wants to get his hands on, and a lot of heroes and a world existential threat that's going to basically wipe everything out. So guys, I figured I'd bring on tonight because we talked about Fey Wars the other night, and I'm going to bow out now, guys, and you can continue on with Mr. Handley and talk about each of your individual series. All right.
All right.
All right, John, you have a good rest of the night, man.
Yeah. The reason I'm so tired is because I got told I was in trouble with the cops in New York City, and I have not been there in 30 years. So that was fun straightening that out. So I'm a little worn out. All right.
I bet.
Yeah. So don't embarrass me. Don't change the volume on the stereo. Don't turn the windshield wipers on, and don't beat the horn. Okay, guys?
Don't play with the thermostat.
Yes, that too. Have a good night. All right. Thanks, JR.
Yep. So, Dan, you want to tell us about yours since you're at the top now?
All right. The Athenaeum series. I got invited to write using a fictionalized version of myself that a friend used. Good old Seth Bailey. And I wasn't sure what to write. And then one day, to make a long story short, I was talking to my buddy Jennifer. And Jennifer's a professional stockbroker, really was summa cum laude at Harvard. Extremely smart, not exactly stable some days. She's up there on that hot, crazy matrix. And she's complaining about her boss. And I said, tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll come into a bunch of money and I'll hire you and you can be my financial manager so you don't have to work for that guy anymore. She said, Dan, you're a disabled veteran who lives in the backwoods of Tennessee and brings home $35,000 a year. Where are you going to get your hands on enough money to need a financial manager, let alone afford me? And I thought about it for a second. I said, well, I can hit Powerball. And she said, I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. I said, or I can find one of those 20-foot shipping containers full of drug cartel money that's stashed in various discreet spots around the American South. Make a dozen phone calls, put the band back together. We do a few nights of rehearsals, and we go grab that container. She's silent for a moment, and she says, you know how to do that? And I said, yeah. An infantry raid's an infantry raid. I don't care if you're hitting an Iraqi army headquarters bunker, kidnapping an Iraqi general. I actually did have a piece of that job once. Or stealing a 20-foot shipping container. It's intelligence reconnaissance. Well, intelligence reconnaissance, near side security, far side security, support by fire, execute, time on target, calculate time on target, extraction. Filing some of the doctrinal fine print off. That's the dance. And she's like, wow. I didn't know you know how to do that. I said, it's not that hard. And then I thought about it and said, wait a fucking second, I can write this. And I started writing, and I started writing, and I started writing, and I passed 30,000 words, and I kept going. I'd tried to write a lot of things over the decades. I'd never had anything go that long and that long and that long and keep going. And finally, I run out of self-confidence around 70,000 words. I'm like, this is bullshit. Nobody's going to want to read this. This is terrible. It sucks. So I sent it to my buddy Chris Denote, who at that point was still on active duty in Intel in the Air Force. And now he's an editor at Raconteur. And I sent it to him. I said, and we also were grad school classmates at Norwich, which is where I know him from. And he reads it, and he gets back to me in a couple of days. He said, if you don't finish this, I'm going to kill you. I said, it sucks. Nobody's going to want to read this. He says, no, keep going. Finish this. He said, this is really good. He said, you started out trying to write James Bond, but what you're writing is a Guy Ritchie heist novel. I hear this narrated in Jason Statham's voice. I'm like, fuck, now I have to finish it. And I get to like 125,000 words. And that's the day I met Holmes at LibertyCon 22 at the rifle range. And gave him, we talked. I gave him a copy. He tells me he needs me at the new authors meeting the next day. And he says, well, so I get there to the authors meeting, and he pulls me off to the side at the end. He said, I'm only 4 chapters in. You wrote it first person, which is extremely limiting for an author, but you write the way you talk, and it flows, and it's funny. I'm like, okay. And he said, he just nods, thinks about it for a second. He said, oh, fuck it. Let's do this. Somebody will buy it. And I'm like, I just sold my first novel. And I go outside, light up a cigar, happy victory puffs. Then he comes, running outside. A second later, he says, oh, yeah, I need the whole thing done in a month. That turns happy victory puffs into... I'm having a little bit of a freak out panic attack on the back deck. And this other little dude, now my buddy Alex, comes walking over with a bottle of bourbon in his hand and says, man, you look like you need a drink. I said, yes, I do. And he pours me some. And, this is really good. Thank you. Long story short, I threw that in as a throwaway reference in the Dallas scene in the first novel. He hit me up 6 months later. He's like, hey, man, that was me. You need a bottle? I'm like, yes, I do. So anyway, first novel came out. It was a slow start because military thrillers are a very crowded space. But a few people bought it, and we started getting a lot of good reviews in, and it was a slow start. And about a week later, John told me, yeah, man, I need that sequel in about a year. And my eyes got wide, and I started getting nervous again. And I said, the first one took me 4.5 years, right? He said, yeah, but you didn't have me riding your ass then, so I need it in a year. Okay. And we got that one out, and we got the second one out. And I've gone on this wild ride through the DoD security review process because I did a lot of historically authentic world building that a lot of people didn't really want me to get into. And yeah, I had my own assigned guy at the DoD security review office, Paul Jacobsmeyer. I can thank him by name now because he just retired. In fact, Triple Play, which was the third Athenaeum novel, was the last manuscript he stamped cleared on on his last day in the office. So, thank you, Paul. I will have to send you a link to this, so he knows I'm still thinking kindly of him. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Spies, hot chicks, guns, vintage, old guns, new guns, hotels I can't afford to stay in. All kinds of fun stuff. Anyway, I've talked enough. Let some of the other guys get a word in edgewise.
All right. What about you, Al?
I definitely don't have as long a story as Dan does.
Sorry.
No, I'm giving you a hard time. I've always liked the post-apocalyptic genre because it really takes you down to basics. You're not being an influencer. You're not, doing whatever. It's life and death. Totally, where you have to decide maybe on a moment's notice. And so that's what my Hexen series is post-apocalyptic. A bioengineered virus takes out 90% of the population worldwide in a matter of weeks. And then, so obviously this is some type of war. But the people on the ground don't know this because the next thing that happens is that EMP weapons take out your electronics. So no phones, no cars, no communications. So everybody is basically isolated and there's no law, obviously. So my characters have to secure their area and start to build up. And the idea is that my main character gets together with the farmers and ranchers that have survived, obviously, the survivors around him, and gets them to agree to teach the refugees coming out of the cities how to grow food. And he forms a security force because he's a Marine to take care of everybody, keep everybody safe. And they go on from there. And Dan mentioned guns and hot chicks and all that sort of thing. He rescues a hot little Latina. See, Dan writes the Asian girls. I write the Latinas. And I'm from Texas. I dated Latinas. I went to school with Latinas. I worked with Latinas. So anyway.
Which was a surprise when I met Mrs. Hagen at Liberty Con, I'll have you know.
And her ancestry is Polish, actually. So, yeah, but anyway, let's see. So, anyway, basically it's the survival thing, and it's a really big change for a lot of people. You could say I have a spoiled little rich girl from Dallas who, it's not pretty the first time she has to use an outhouse, for example, as you can well imagine. But they not only do they manage to survive, but they manage to thrive. The little Latina she grew up poor, and she pushes him to expand their empire. And they managed to do that. The governor of Texas, as he's trying to rebuild the state, looks around and decides that all of his rich political contributors are dead or bankrupt, and so he's got to make some more. And so he chooses them because they're being successful, and he pumps more success to them, gives them things, but also throws more refugees their way. And so they build. They're building an empire. It doesn't go easily. There are a lot of people that need to be killed, like you said, that Southern term. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Come take a look. That little rich girl grows up and becomes kind of mean. And there was mention of a cheese grater earlier. There's a little bit of violence that happens with the cheese grater.
Just a little bit of violence.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Who's next?
All right, Jonathan. You are muted, sir.
Yeah, I had to sit here and think about the path to being a writer. I started.
Hey, Jonathan, aim your camera down a little bit more, dude.
That better?
Yeah, much better. We had to kind of cut you off at the mustache defilade.
See, and that's why I love Dan. He's always got a good response on stuff. He's kind of like the big brother I always wish I could have had. Of course, if he was really my big brother, we'd have been lucky to stay out of jail, but it'd have been a hell of a fun time.
Fair.
I had actually started, of all things, as a writer in romance over a decade and a half ago. And I found out very quickly lessons about vanity publishers. In this case, I was informed by a district attorney that they were investigating my particular publisher for wire fraud, tax evasion, and a few other things. And I got the rights returned to my stuff a week before she got arraigned. And it felt at that time like I was never going to be successful as an author ever. And all of that went on a back burner while I was trying to get through college, start a family, ended up with 2 kids, became 3. And somewhere along the line, I started writing again. Idea came to mind. I started trying to work with it, kept writing. And at LibertyCon in 2023, John Holmes approached me and invited me to come write a book in his Fallen Empire series. And I tried for weeks. I read stuff, I tried to write, and it just wasn't working. And then I remembered, I got this side project over here. Bunch of American Marines get summoned to be security element for a company worth of all-female British engineers. And how do you mix 2 cultures together successfully? Answer, you don't. They have lots of friction and try to figure things out for stuff as simple as what's a biscuit. Because in the American South, we'll put gravy all over a biscuit. And if you try and suggest that to a Brit, they're going to think you've lost your freaking mind and you're taking the piss. And running from there, figuring out how you bring cultures together, people together. And it's not just inter-service, it's intercontinentally. Okay, they speak the same language. Are they saying the same thing? No. And what do you do with that? What is the real cost for young Marines being in that environment where you've got a platoon worth of hyper testosterone, overambitious young men getting a chance to show off in front of the prettiest women they've seen in 7 months? What's the worst that could happen? And run with it from there. And that got up to 150,000 words before Michael Morton started doing some serious editing and got me to cut stuff and refine it and improve it. And that became Hell's Bells, Love and War Downrange. I am working on the sequel. The goal is to have it turned into JF by 1 September. I'm actually taking a week worth of leave from work so I can go and write it and not have 5 children nagging at me every 5 minutes about what they want and need done.
Is there any truth to the rumor that you started writing again because after the 5th child, your wife said you needed a different hobby?
I plead the 5th.
Okay. So
The 5th child?
Yeah. There's actually a side note story about
played more pipe than Ace Plumbing.
So with this series, obviously you're writing the 2nd book now and we'll finish it and turn it in soon because this will air on September 1st. Is this going to be a duology, a trilogy? Where do you see this series length ending?
It started out as 1 book, and then I realized I could make it a series after I started writing it to get it published for Canon. And I thought, okay, maybe 2 more, make it a trilogy so it gets all the story arcs taken care of. Kept involving it, and you can ask Dan Kemp. I was texting him last night, this morning, asking his opinion and making sanity checks on stuff and realizing I can run this out 6, 7 novels. And so long as I'm doing something that actually works and not spending all of my time with my wife, I should actually be able to get this written.
Hey, man, it worked for Webb Griffin. He didn't think the core was going to go 9 novels.
Oh, that's a good series. I like that one too.
It's actually one of my sources of inspiration because the core especially, he has characters that are both absurd in certain ways. Malcolm Pickering is absurd, but he's a fun character to follow. McCoy is in some ways very realistic of blue collar, join the Corps, trying to be more than just broken poor. I can understand that. I enlisted in 2008 in the middle of the housing crisis. There was no way I was going to be able to afford going to college with my grades. I graduated barely from high school. I was a 2.9 average my senior year. By the time you roll all 4 together, yeah, I was not getting to college on those grades. No, sir. So I completely empathize and understand that. And from there, it became, okay, Griffin said this and did this. Does this work in the modern age? Because Griffin was writing Marines up through the Korean War, and that's a very different conflict from the GWAT. What would Marines in the GWAT do different? Some things. And I leave it to the reader to take it apart and figure out and find. But there's other stuff. It hasn't changed. We're still going to go look for pretty women and try and get them horizontal and have fun while we're at it.
I mean, some things are eternal. Even on Hadrian's Wall, they've unearthed Roman legionnaires back before we were in the ACE, and they're like drawing dick pics. So, I mean, some things are eternal.
Yes, they are.
And it's.
Go ahead.
I was to say, you talked about, the things getting in your way of the writing, and I was reminded of this joke somebody sent me. Let me get the right one in. I had to remove. An author put this as his, and I'll read it for those listening at home, his dedication to the book: to my wife, Margaret, and my children, Ella Rose and Daniel Adam, without whom this book would have been completed 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
I love that.
I am guilty of this. And I'm the guy that my wife had 2 kids during COVID. And
Okay.
at some point, that long board on the bed frame that connects to the foot and the header?
Yeah.
Mine has metal plate on one side, hooks into the footer. And that plate broke off.
And with that, we're going to move on because this is a family-friendly show.
And I had to make some phone calls, and I got dogged out by my mother over that in the middle of COVID. And it still bugs me to this day, but I can't argue with her because, dadgummit, yeah, kids do get in the way of writing.
All right, and next.
The first Athenaeum novel was made possible by my second divorce.
Did you strike out a third time? What?
Not yet.
Well, not with that attitude, you won't.
Hey, I know me. If Miss Wright came along, I'd try a third time. I know me.
All right, J.R. Wise. What books are you writing for Canon right now?
I just published a book in their Fallen Empire series called Doom Company that is loosely based on my last deployment, specifically me, my old platoon sergeant. I didn't even change his name in it. His name was Branch in real life. It's Branch in the book, but he loves it. It's kind of a almost a Deadpool versus Wolverine vibe, where my character is Deadpool and Branch's character wants to kill him, kind of. But
so true to life.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of romance in it. It might have been inspired by Mr. LaForce there. But it doesn't get too steamy because Branch is
no cheese graters then.
No cheese graters except for grating cheese. But I started writing as an assignment from my counselor a few years ago. I was having a hard time talking about things that happened in Afghanistan, and she said, well, why don't you write them down? And I couldn't do that either. She's like, well, why don't you make it sci-fi or fantasy so that you can think about it without thinking about it? And then I let one of my friends read it, and they said, maybe you should try and publish a book. And I did. It was called Terra Ascending. And then Dea found it and asked me to write Fallen Empire. And that's how I ended up here.
Okay, and the Doom Company is the Fallen Empire book?
Yes. It's the 4th book in that series, but they're all kind of standalone stories. You'll definitely enjoy Doom Company better if you read the other 3 books, but you don't necessarily need to understand it.
And is there going to be a sequel to Doom Company?
Yes, I definitely left it wide open for a sequel quite intentionally, just so he would let me write another one. But I am working on it, but I am also working on about 3 other things at the moment because I have horrible ADHD and can't focus.
Okay. Last but certainly not least, we got Mr. G. Scott Huggins. So you wrote what for Canon?
Well, I wrote a Cold and Mortal Spring for canon. It is Guns and Sorcery or Flintlock Fantasy, whichever one you want to call it. Flintlock Fantasy is an awesome idea from John Holmes, and so yeah, I mean, I started writing in the last days of the 20th century, and I've been just plugging out short stories and such. This book is actually over 20 years old if you go from the date that I wrote the first line of it. But it went through a ton of editors and rewrites until it finally became what it is. So yeah, I mean, this book is old enough to drink. But it's
we need
about
the next one in a year.
Yeah. So hey, thanks a lot. But it actually had its genesis in somebody wrote a book about, what if there was a real wishing well that everybody could wish for? I thought, that sounds like it would be hell. Do you know what people wish for without ever thinking of the consequences? And so I decided I'm going to write a book where this well exists and it destroys the world. And so, we're starting at the point where there's one kingdom left in the world barely hanging on. And sure enough, a curse from the well finds it. And our hero, Captain Ethel Pauling, has to save the human race and figure out how to do it in the face of thousands of year old source of all evil.
So were you a gamer growing up? Did you play like D&D?
Well, unfortunately, I grew up in the middle of the Satanic Panic, so I was forbidden from playing D&D. So I had to play Star Trek Tactical Fleet Simulator and other things that my otherwise imaginative parents, except for the whole Satanic Panic thing, approved of.
No, I'm just getting vibes of like the djinn in D&D where they'd always mess your wish up and turn it against you.
Yeah, I was influenced a little by that, a little by Larry Niven's Tales of the Magic World, where genies basically gave people's wishes and screwed them up because they were bored. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's really, really fucking good.
And we have a whole episode. If you go into our catalog, you should be able to search his name. We did a whole episode about the Cold and Mortal Spring where he talks about it in depth for an hour. So if you want more, that is available. But all right,
the sequel is even better. Get him back for another one.
Noted.
I would be honored.
As we wrap this up, what do you guys like the most about publishing for canon? Dan, we're going to go round robin.
All right. The first answer is glib in that, hey, he was willing to take a first-time novelist completely on faith and not really jiggle my elbow too much while I did it. The real answer is a bit more in-depth. Canon grew exponentially. I think I was the third or fourth author. I mean, it went from John's one-man shop to him and Lucas. Then 2 became 4, 4 became 8. There's like 16 of us in the group picture. And LibertyCon this year, just for those of us who were there were more of us that can fit on the stage. We are growing. We work together well. We all get along. It is our happy little brotherhood, sisterhood, and it works. We're arguably one of the two or I mean, you have the traditional publishing legacy houses in sci-fi. And then below that, you've got a strong crop of indies, and we're maybe behind Aethon and running neck and neck with, Raconteur and 3 Ravens as that next league of talent. And some of us have had pieces at the other houses too. There's like the UN of little publishers that work together, and we all play well together. That's that it comes beyond price.
Okay, Al.
Canon is a really great group of people. It's they're really easy to work with. Like for example, I wanted to wound one of my characters, and well, guess what? We've got an EMT guy, and he was perfectly willing to, like exchange some emails. How badly do you want to hurt her? And I want her to do this and bleed and have pain, but still be able to walk around. What do we need to do to her? Somebody had a question about would they tape magazines together? We were like, oh hell no. People make clamps, that you can clamp your magazines together. Just an incredible depth of knowledge that is available almost immediately on tap. Really great group. And I'll deny I said that to any of you guys.
All right, Scott.
What I really love about working with Canon is just the support that you get from the other authors. I mean, Canon and the company itself really, I mean, besides that, and it very much is a besides that, the company makes an effort to support your launches, get excited about it. I really much better than any publisher I've ever worked with before, and I really appreciate everyone in the company for that.
Okay, Jonathan.
One, John Holmes is an absolutely stand-up guy.
Yep.
He's humble in a lot of ways, but I'm going to say it because he deserves to have it said about him. He is an absolute stand-up guy. You can argue with him about something, but he's never going to do you wrong. I have no complaints about writing for him. None. I've had stuff published by Baen. I've had stuff published by Raconteur. I'm happy to stay with Canon. End of story on that. I enjoy the support network that we have as authors and the ability to draw on all of the different knowledge to make things work. I mentioned earlier, I was talking to Dan. I just hit him up with a Facebook message. We had probably a 15, 20-minute conversation. He helped me figure out the next character story arc.
Thereabouts.
Okay. And we sat there and thrown dialogue back and forth and refined what the finished product is that the reader gets. And it's easy, it's simple, and it works. And I enjoy the heck out of that because there's days I question what the heck I'm writing, and I sit there and think to myself, this is stupid. Nobody's going to like this. And then I get a message back from Dan. That was freaking hilarious. Hey, that's my day made. That's morale fixed entirely, and I now know what I need to do next. Cool, let's make it happen.
All right, and as we end this Kumbaya circle, J.R. Wise.
I like getting honest, like kind of no pulled punches feedback that's actually constructive. I've worked with freelancers and stuff, and they tend to come as one of two varieties. Ones that just kind of want to jerk you off and tell you what you're doing is great, just so that you'll pay them more. And then ones who just want to shit all over what you're doing. And Canon is a nice, like the people I've worked with, especially like Dave Hensley, JF, that have read Doom Company. Like, hey, this is working really well. Do more of this. This isn't working. This is why it isn't working. This is how to fix it. And that kind of feedback is invaluable as a writer.
Okay. This is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. It really does make a difference. So with that, Dan, how can listeners and viewers and readers find you on the wild, wild interwebs? And as usual, links will be in the show notes.
Oh, I will send the usual set of links. I am Dan Kemp Author on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I've even got a Tumblr account because there's gun nuts on Tumblr. That's my core demographic is GWAT guys, gun guys. Every now and then I break containment out past that. One guy told me one time, "Hey man, my wife stole my copy of your book and won't give it back." So I sold him another one. I have no morals that way. That's why I have to be Scott's designated extrovert sometimes.
All right, Al.
Oh yeah.
How might we find you on the wild interwebs?
It's Al Hagan. It's Hagan. A lot of people spell it with an E. There are no E's in it, but Amazon, Facebook, all the socials, that sort of thing. I'll get them out to you so you can post them.
All right, and next we got Mr. G. Scott Huggins. We're going to go round robin again. How can we find you on the wild interwebs?
A lot of the same thing Al said. Scott Huggins. I got G. Scott Huggins is a .com is a blog. I've got Scott Huggins on Facebook and G. Scott Huggins on Twitter. Sorry, X. I just launched a Substack, which you can definitely find links to on Facebook.
Okay. Next we got Jonathan LaForce.
Primarily on Instagram and Facebook. If you go to Facebook, it's whatever comes to mind. That anybody that's dealt with me long enough will tell you that I'm kind of just non sequitur. I'll just spout whatever comes to mind, and it's kind of scary at times. If you go on my Instagram, it's usually whatever I'm cooking up lately on the grill or the smoker, because why not make something tasty to eat and enjoy? And even like Dan and Scott have both had my barbecue.
Yep.
And
barbecue it was.
Other than that, my stuff is all on Amazon. I'll make sure you get the links.
All right, and finally we got Mr. J.R. Wise.
Yeah, I have a website, jrwise.com. My handle is The Wise Author on TikTok, Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. Instagram and TikTok especially, you can find some funny videos that I do with my extremely hot wife that people seem to like. I'm funny.
I am a gentleman, so I won't comment on her looks. I will say you're dynamic together. You're funny on camera together, and I laugh. So that's something.
Y'all don't make me bring Lindsay out here to start competing.
They're like surprisingly wholesome. Like
never mind. Lindsay ain't wholesome. That ain't a family friendly podcast.
where you read the book you recommended, which was Trashy Romance. JR, that was funny. But you're muted, so I didn't hear whatever you said. JR, did you say something?
Yeah, I said Karen fakes wholesome well.
I'm just talking about the content I observe because they're funny, and in this world where things can get dark, it's nice to have something to laugh at.
Yeah. I mean, the body count video did really well.
I'm just saying 27 is rookie numbers.
Hey, man, I wasn't in Iraq with you, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just saying, when in doubt, take the town out. Probably. Oh, and to quote our lovely friend, the fat electrician, it ain't a war crime the first time.
Hey, remember, today is the Hiroshima anniversary. Oak Ridge sends its regards.
Oh, it is.
So is it time to go make Rice Krispies already?
Wow, that was dark. If you didn't like history before, I beg you.
Hey, Wise is actually smiling and laughing for once. Jesus.
I advise you to go.
We've had one, yes, but what about second sunrise?
Indeed, dark humor will get you everywhere in life.
I got in trouble for that at a church function one time. They told us to bring Rice Krispie treats, homemade for the Halloween trunk or treat for rewards for the kids in the carnival. And they had made the mistake of setting up about 30 feet worth of table covered with Rice Krispie treats from end to end. I walked up, took a look at it, and the first words out of my jarhead mouth were, "I haven't seen this many since Hiroshima 1945.
Oh, we are a bunch of sick bastards.
Yep, and you can find us on our link tree at linktr.ee linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things: the BitChutes, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. We have our email, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, Blasters and Blades Podcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comments section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee till it pours out of their eyeballs, and we swim away on a river of Java goodness. And if you want some of that coffee brand coffee, the link is in the show notes. Discount code podcast grunts. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. These episodes aren't free to produce, and every penny helps, and we greatly appreciate you. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy and absentee co-host, I am J.R. Hanley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. All right. Thank you guys for coming on. This was a lot of fun. And with that, we're going to hit the